In 2022, VAPA is taking the things that we learned during remote learning and applying them in person to the benefit of the students in the way that we respond to one another, in the way that we process information in order to work in a world that will never be the same. There isn't going back, there's only going forward, and we're doing it in the most innovative ways possible, in the most creative ways possible, which is exactly what you would expect from artists. They're teaching not from the perspective of any other kind of mind. The artist mind is unique. It is trained to question. It is trained to turn things around and respond and create.
This teaching year has been a different one in that last year everything was completely online, and this year we've had people in and out throughout the year because of various, changing situations. And so while normally my job is to support both the instructor and the students, it's also this past year been to facilitate all of the different shifts that we've had to make. One thing that this year has taught me about teaching in this particular environment is continued flexibility, is continued compassion in terms of thinking about what people might be experiencing and also what their needs might be as things continue to shift. Previously, I had thought about teaching as being like, this is the thing that we planned out, this is the thing that we're going to do, and with some leeway. Whereas this has been a much more fluid situation, ever-changing situation. And it has also, as someone who has grown up Korean Zen Buddhist, I'm pretty comfortable with things shifting and changing all the time. But this just sort of just reinforced that there's really nothing that you can really think of being, 100%, this is the way it has to be. Just kind of reinforcing the idea that things will constantly change over time.
One of the things I'm constantly repeating to our VAPA students is that there's a lot of ways to do this right. And it's not about making cookie cutter educators who are going to use the same tools in the same ways. It's about helping them find the way that they're going to do it in their own way, which in turn creates an education environment for their students where their students are then liberated to create and experiment in their own way toward their own goals. So it is like this concentric circle of experimentation and of growth and of learning where it's not about my way and it's not about each individual student making carbon copies of themselves. It's about liberating the learning space so that everyone can create and express in their own unique identity.
While we kind of always expect these students to create a cohort, create a community as they go through 3 quarters together, we hear the cliche all the time, we're in it together, we're in it together. I mean, we were really in it together. So they are really there for each other. And Marissa and I have done our best to be there for them and for each other. And so, along with Asher and the whole rest of the VAPA team, and it really feels like in a big university like UCLA, where things can feel anonymous sometimes, or you can sort of feel like you're just sort of floating in your own little bubble, that this has really been a touchstone for not just the students, but anyone who's involved in the course itself.
The field of arts education is always evolving, but I don't know that we've been challenged the way that we have in the last few years to evolve so rapidly and with so much spirit and so much resilience. And so I love and admire all of my students for everything that they've taught me along the way, where we have really created a space where it is a shared learning environment and it is the embodiment of En Lakesh. My students are my other self, and I am learning as much from them as I could ever possibly teach them. Thank you.